If you found yourself opening this video, it is not a coincidence. It means you need to hear this right now, because what you are about to understand can change the direction of your life completely. Nothing in this world is more powerful than what you think about yourself, because your identity is not built from facts. It is built from interpretation, and psychology has proven again and again that the human brain does not respond to reality itself, but to the story it tells about that reality. According to cognitive psychology, your beliefs act like filters, shaping what you notice, what you ignore, and how you act, which means that two people can live in the same circumstances and create completely different lives simply because they think differently about themselves. The most dangerous trap is not failure, not lack of resources, not even bad luck. The most dangerous trap is a negative self-concept that quietly sabotages every opportunity before it even has the chance to grow. When you believe you are not enough, your brain begins to collect evidence to prove that belief true, and this is called confirmation bias, a mechanism that keeps you stuck in a loop without you even realizing it. You do not fail because you are incapable, you fail because your mind is programmed to expect failure, and what the mind expects, the body eventually follows. Most people give up not when they are far from their goal, but when they are closest to it. And this is not just motivational talk. It is a well-documented psychological pattern connected to emotional fatigue and fear of change. As you approach success, your brain enters unfamiliar territory, and the unknown feels dangerous. So it creates resistance, doubt, and anxiety to pull you back into what feels safe, even if that safe place is a life you do not want. This is why so many people stop right before the breakthrough, because they misinterpret discomfort as a sign to quit, instead of recognizing it as proof that they are evolving. And at that exact moment, when you are most vulnerable, the voices around you become louder, the opinions, the doubts, the subtle discouragement from people who are themselves afraid to grow. Social psychology explains that humans are deeply influenced by their environment, and if you surround yourself with people who think small, who fear risk, who normalize mediocrity, their mindset will slowly become your own unless you consciously protect your mental space. What you are today is not a coincidence. It is the direct reflection of your past thoughts repeated over time. Your habits were shaped by your beliefs, your actions were guided by your identity, and your current reality is simply the visible result of invisible patterns that have been running in your mind for months, or even years. This is the principle of cognitive restructuring, the idea that if you want to change your external life, you must first change your internal dialogue. You cannot build a new life with an old mindset, because your brain will always try to recreate what feels familiar. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your life will mirror exactly that. But if you begin to shift your thinking, even slightly, you start creating a new internal environment that eventually leads to different decisions, different actions, and different outcomes. Neuroscience shows that the brain is plastic, meaning it can rewire itself based on repeated thoughts and experiences, a concept known as neuroplasticity. This means you are not fixed, you are not stuck, and you are not defined by your past. Every time you choose a new thought, every time you challenge a limiting belief, every time you act in alignment with a stronger version of yourself, you are literally reshaping the neural pathways in your brain. Change does not happen in one moment of motivation. It happens through consistent repetition of new mental patterns, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels unnatural. At first, your new thoughts will feel fake, forced, even unrealistic, because your brain is used to the old identity. But over time, what feels unnatural becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar starts to feel real. You must understand that not every thought you have is true, and this is one of the most freeing realizations in psychology. Your mind generates thousands of thoughts every day, many of them automatic, many of them shaped by past experiences, by childhood, by the people around you, by situations that no longer exist. If you accept every thought as truth, you become a prisoner of your own mind. But if you learn to observe your thoughts, to question them, to choose which ones deserve your attention, you take back control. This is the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective psychological approaches in the world, and it is based on a simple but powerful idea: change your thoughts, and you change your life. Right now, if you look at your life and you do not like what you see, you have two choices. You can continue thinking the same way and expect different results, or you can interrupt the pattern and decide that from this moment forward, your thoughts will serve you instead of sabotage you. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing a perspective that empowers you instead of weakening you. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What can I do with this?" Instead of thinking, "I am not capable," you begin to think, "I am learning." Instead of believing, "I always fail," you shift to, "I have not succeeded yet." These are not just words, they are mental commands that influence your behavior and your emotional state. And remember this: the world will always have opinions, people will always talk, doubt, judge, and project their own fears onto you, but none of that has power unless you accept it. The most successful individuals are not those who never hear negativity, but those who refuse to internalize it. They understand that other people's opinions are often reflections of their own limitations, not objective truths about your potential. If you allow external voices to define you, you will live a life designed by others. But if you choose to define yourself, you take ownership of your future. The moment you decide to change your thinking is the moment your life begins to change, even if nothing external has shifted yet. Because every transformation starts internally before it becomes visible externally. The decisions you make today, the thoughts you repeat today, the beliefs you reinforce today, they are shaping the version of you that will exist tomorrow. So if you are tired of your current reality, do not wait for circumstances to change, do not wait for motivation, do not wait for the perfect moment, because that moment does not exist. Change your thoughts now, because your future is being built in your mind in this exact moment. And maybe you do not see it yet, maybe nothing around you has changed, but if you stay consistent, if you protect your mindset, if you refuse to give up when you are closest to your goal, you will reach a point where everything aligns. And you will realize that the moment you almost quit was the moment you were about to win. And this is the point where most people misunderstand the process, because they expect change to feel good from the beginning, but real transformation rarely feels comfortable at first. When you start thinking differently, your mind will resist. It will try to pull you back into old patterns, old doubts, old habits, because familiarity feels safe even when it is limiting you. This internal resistance is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are breaking patterns that have been reinforced for years. Growth is not just about learning something new, it is about unlearning what no longer serves you. And that process can feel confusing, even frustrating, because you are stepping into a version of yourself that you have not fully met yet. You have to become very careful with the way you speak to yourself, because your inner dialogue is constantly shaping your emotional state and your actions. Every time you say "I can't," "it's too hard," or "it's not for me," you are reinforcing a limitation that your brain will accept as truth. Language is powerful, not because of the words themselves, but because of the meaning you attach to them. When you change the way you speak, you change the way you think, and when you change the way you think, you change the way you act. This is why high performers are extremely intentional with their thoughts. They do not allow negative patterns to run unchecked. They interrupt them, redirect them, and replace them with thoughts that move them forward. There is also something important you need to understand about failure, because most people see it as an end, when in reality it is feedback. From a psychological perspective, failure provides information. It shows you what does not work, it highlights where you need to grow, and it forces you to adapt. The problem is not failure itself, the problem is the meaning you give to it. If you interpret failure as proof that you are not good enough, you will stop, but if you interpret it as part of the process, you will continue. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not talent, it is interpretation. And then there is patience, something that almost no one wants to hear about, because we live in a world that promotes instant results, instant success, and instant transformation. But the truth is, real change takes time, because you are not just changing actions, you are changing identity. Your current identity was built over years of repetition, and it cannot be replaced overnight. Every small action you take, every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you stay consistent even when you do not feel motivated, you are reinforcing a new identity. And eventually, there will be a moment when things start to feel different, when the actions that once felt difficult become natural, when the thoughts that once felt forced become automatic. At some point, you will realize that you are no longer the same person who started this journey, and that is when everything begins to shift on a deeper level. Opportunities that once felt out of reach will start to appear, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you changed, and now you are able to see and act on things you previously ignored. Your standards will rise, your tolerance for negativity will decrease, and your confidence will no longer depend on external validation, but on internal certainty. You also need to let go of the idea that everyone will understand your journey, because they will not. Some people will question you, some will doubt you, and some will even try to pull you back into the version of yourself that they are comfortable with. This is not because they want to hurt you, but because your growth challenges their reality. When you change, you remind others of what they are not doing, and that can make them uncomfortable. So do not expect support from everyone, and do not make validation a requirement for your progress. What matters is that you keep going, even when it is quiet, even when there is no recognition, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because the most important changes are happening beneath the surface, in your mindset, in your habits, and in your identity. And one day, all of that invisible work will become visible results. So if you are at a point in your life where you feel stuck, where you feel lost, or where you feel like nothing is working, understand this: it is not the end, it is the beginning of awareness. The fact that you are questioning your life means that you are ready to change it. The fact that you feel uncomfortable means that you are no longer willing to stay the same. And that is powerful. Start small, but start now. Change one thought, change one habit, and make one decision that aligns with the person you want to become. Do not wait for the perfect plan, do not wait for confidence, and do not wait for approval. Take action despite the doubt, because clarity comes from action, not from overthinking. And always remember this: you are not behind, you are not too late, and you are not incapable. You are in the process. And if you stay consistent, if you protect your mindset, and if you refuse to give up when it gets hard, you will eventually reach a point where everything you once struggled with becomes part of your strength. The version of you that you dream about already exists, not somewhere in the future, but within you right now, waiting to be expressed through your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions. The only question is, will you choose to become that person, or will you stay where you are because it feels familiar? The choice is yours, and it always has been. And as you continue on this path, you will begin to notice something subtle but powerful. Your awareness will expand. You will start catching your negative thoughts in real time, you will recognize patterns that once controlled you unconsciously, and you will realize that you now have a choice. This is where real power begins, not when everything is perfect, but when you become aware enough to choose differently despite the imperfection. Awareness creates distance between you and your old identity, and in that distance, you find the ability to change. You will also understand that discipline becomes more important than motivation. Motivation is temporary, it comes and goes depending on your emotions, your environment, and your energy levels. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision. It is the ability to act even when you do not feel like it, even when it is uncomfortable, even when there is no immediate reward. From a psychological perspective, discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds trust with yourself. And once you trust yourself, your confidence grows naturally, because you know that you will show up no matter what. There will be days when you doubt everything, when your progress feels invisible, when your old thoughts try to come back stronger than before. This is normal. The brain is designed to protect familiar patterns, even if those patterns are limiting. But every time you choose not to go back, every time you stay committed to your growth, you weaken the old pathways and strengthen the new ones. This is how lasting change happens, not through one big decision, but through many small decisions repeated over time. Another important truth is that you cannot think your way into a new life without acting. Thought is the beginning, but action is what creates results. Many people get stuck in the loop of learning, planning, and waiting, believing they need more clarity before they move forward. But clarity does not come before action, it comes because of action. When you take a step, even a small one, you create feedback, you learn, you adjust, and you move forward with more understanding than before. You also need to accept that discomfort will always be part of growth. There is no version of success that does not include moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. The difference is that successful people do not see these emotions as obstacles, they see them as part of the process. They do not wait to feel ready, they move forward while feeling unready. And over time, what once felt uncomfortable becomes normal, and what once felt impossible becomes achievable. At a deeper level, this journey is not just about achieving goals, it is about becoming someone you respect. It is about building a relationship with yourself based on trust, discipline, and self-awareness. When you become that person, success is no longer something you chase, it becomes something you naturally attract, because your actions, your mindset, and your identity are aligned. There will come a moment when you look back and realize how far you have come, not just in results, but in the way you think, in the way you react, in the way you see yourself. And you will understand that the hardest part was not the work itself, but the decision to begin and the courage to continue when it was difficult. So keep going, even when it is slow, even when it is hard, even when no one is watching. Keep choosing thoughts that empower you, keep taking actions that move you forward, keep building the version of yourself that you know you are capable of becoming. Because in the end, your life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to think, how you choose to respond, and how you choose to act. And one day, everything will make sense. The struggle, the doubt, the effort, all of it will come together to form a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more confident than you ever imagined. And in that moment, you will realize that nothing was wasted, every step was necessary, and every thought you chose to change was a step toward the life you are now living. And as this transformation deepens, you will begin to experience a shift that is no longer just mental, but emotional and behavioral. The things that once triggered you will start to lose their power, the situations that once made you doubt yourself will feel different, and your reactions will no longer be automatic. Instead of reacting, you will respond. Instead of avoiding, you will face. Instead of shrinking, you will expand. This is the moment when growth becomes visible not only to you, but to the world around you. You will also realize that self-respect becomes your new standard. You will no longer tolerate environments, conversations, or behaviors that drain your energy or lower your value. This is not arrogance, it is awareness. When you begin to understand your worth, you naturally start protecting it. You become more selective with your time, your attention, and the people you allow into your space. And this is essential, because your environment either supports your growth or slows it down. There is no neutral ground. At this stage, your focus will shift from proving yourself to others to building something meaningful for yourself. You will no longer need constant validation, because your confidence will come from your actions, your discipline, and your ability to stay consistent even when things are difficult. You will stop chasing approval and start chasing progress. And that is where true freedom begins, when your direction is no longer controlled by external opinions, but by internal clarity. You will also start to understand the importance of responsibility. Not in a heavy or negative way, but in an empowering way. Taking responsibility for your life means recognizing that, regardless of your past, you have the ability to influence your future. It means letting go of blame, excuses, and the idea that something or someone else will change your life for you. It means stepping into ownership and saying, from this point forward, I decide. And that decision alone can change everything. There will still be challenges, there will still be moments of uncertainty, but now you will face them differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You will ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of feeling defeated, you will look for solutions. Instead of stopping, you will adapt. This shift in perspective is what separates those who stay stuck from those who continue to grow no matter what happens. And over time, you will begin to trust yourself on a deeper level. Not because everything is easy, but because you have proven to yourself that you can handle difficult situations, that you can keep going when it gets hard, and that you can rebuild even when things do not go as planned. This kind of trust is unshakable, because it is built through experience, not just belief. At some point, you will realize that the life you once wanted is now your reality, and it will not feel like something extraordinary, it will feel normal. Because you have grown into the person who can hold that life. This is something many people do not understand. They want the results without becoming the person who is capable of sustaining those results. But real success is not just about reaching a goal, it is about becoming someone who can live at that level consistently. So do not rush the process. Do not compare your journey to others. Do not underestimate the power of small, consistent steps. Everything you are doing right now matters, even if you do not see immediate results. Every thought you shift, every action you take, every time you choose growth over comfort, you are building something that will eventually become your reality. And if there is one thing you should never forget, it is this: your mind is your most powerful tool. It can either build your life or break it. It can either limit you or expand you. The difference is not in your circumstances, it is in your thinking. So protect your mind, train it, guide it, and use it intentionally. Because the way you think today is creating the life you will live tomorrow. And right now, in this moment, you have the opportunity to choose differently. To think differently. To act differently. To become someone new. Not in the future, not someday, but starting now. Because everything begins with a decision. And that decision is yours. And when you truly understand this, something inside you settles into clarity, because you realize that you are not waiting for life to change anymore, you are creating the change yourself. You stop looking outside for answers that have always been within you, and you begin to trust your own direction. This is where independence is born, not just financially or physically, but mentally and emotionally. You are no longer controlled by fear, by doubt, or by the need for approval. You are guided by intention. At this level, your standards will rise naturally. You will no longer accept less than what aligns with the person you are becoming. Your habits will reflect discipline, your decisions will reflect awareness, and your actions will reflect purpose. You will begin to understand that success is not one big moment, but a series of small choices made consistently over time. And every time you choose growth, you reinforce the identity you are building. There will still be moments where your mind tries to go back to old patterns, but now you will recognize them instantly. You will see the doubt for what it is, a learned response, not a fact. You will feel fear, but you will not let it stop you. You will acknowledge it, and you will move forward anyway. This is courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. You will also begin to detach from outcomes in a healthy way. Instead of obsessing over results, you will focus on the process. You will understand that results are a byproduct of consistent action and aligned thinking. This shift removes pressure and replaces it with focus. You stop forcing things to happen, and instead, you build the conditions that make success inevitable over time. Another shift that will happen is your relationship with time. You will stop rushing, stop comparing, stop feeling like you are behind. You will understand that your path is unique, and your timing is specific to your journey. What matters is not how fast you move, but how consistently you move forward. Progress, even slow progress, is still progress. You will also develop resilience on a deeper level. Not just the ability to handle challenges, but the ability to remain stable within yourself regardless of what is happening outside. When things go wrong, you will not collapse, you will adjust. When things do not work out, you will not quit, you will learn. This inner stability is what allows you to keep going without losing yourself in the process. And as you continue, you will notice that your focus becomes sharper. Distractions will lose their appeal, and your energy will be directed toward what truly matters. You will become more intentional with your time, more disciplined with your actions, and more selective with your priorities. This is where productivity and purpose begin to align. At some point, you will look at your life and realize that everything you once thought was impossible is now part of your reality. Not because you got lucky, but because you stayed consistent, because you did not give up, because you chose to change your thinking when it would have been easier to stay the same. And that realization will change the way you see yourself forever. You will understand that you are capable of far more than you ever believed. That your limits were never fixed, they were simply assumptions. And once those assumptions are replaced with stronger beliefs, your potential expands in ways you cannot fully predict. So keep going, even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels slow, even when no one else understands what you are building. Stay committed to your growth, stay disciplined in your actions, and stay aware of your thoughts. Because every single day, you are shaping the person you are becoming. And one day, without even realizing when it happened, you will become that person. The one you once imagined. The one you once doubted. The one you are working toward right now. And when that moment comes, you will not see it as luck or coincidence. You will see it as the result of every decision you made to keep going. So decide who you want to be, and start becoming that person today. Not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently. Because consistency is what turns potential into reality. And your reality is waiting for you to claim it. And to understand how powerful this really is, you need to see how these principles show up in real psychological research and real human lives. This is not just motivation. It is grounded in decades of study about how thoughts shape behavior, identity, and outcomes. One of the most well-known examples comes from the work of Carol Dweck. a psychologist who studied what she called the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. In her research, students who believed their abilities could improve through effort consistently outperformed those who believed their intelligence was fixed. The difference was not talent, it was belief. Those with a growth mindset saw challenges as opportunities, while those with a fixed mindset saw them as threats. Over time, this difference in thinking created completely different results, even when starting from the same level. Another powerful example comes from the concept of learned helplessness, studied by psychologist Martin Seligman. In his early experiments, individuals who experienced repeated failure without control eventually stopped trying altogether, even when opportunities to succeed were later introduced. They had learned to believe that their actions did not matter. But what is even more important is what came next. When individuals were taught to reinterpret their experiences, to see failure as temporary and specific rather than permanent and personal, their behavior changed. They began trying again, and their results improved. This shows that it is not just what happens to you, but how you explain it to yourself that determines your future actions. You can also see this pattern in real-world success stories. Consider Thomas Edison, who reportedly failed thousands of times before successfully creating a working light bulb. When asked about his failures, he did not define them as failure at all, but as steps in the process, saying he had found thousands of ways that did not work. This is a perfect example of cognitive reframing, the ability to interpret events in a way that supports persistence rather than discouragement. If he had adopted the belief that failure meant he was incapable, the outcome would have been very different. Another modern example is Michael Jordan, widely considered one of the greatest athletes of all time. Early in his career, he was cut from his high school basketball team, an experience that could have defined his identity in a negative way. Instead, he used it as motivation to improve. He later said that he missed thousands of shots and lost hundreds of games, but that those failures were exactly what made him successful. Again, the difference was not the absence of failure, but the interpretation of it. Psychology also explains why people give up right before success. Research on goal pursuit shows that as individuals get closer to a goal, effort can actually decrease due to mental fatigue and the illusion that the outcome is uncertain. Combined with fear of change and external pressure, this creates a critical moment where many people quit. They are not failing, they are transitioning, but they misinterpret the discomfort as a signal to stop. This is why persistence at the final stage is often what separates those who succeed from those who do not. There is also strong evidence from neuroscience that supports the idea that changing your thoughts changes your brain. Studies on neuroplasticity show that repeated thinking patterns strengthen specific neural pathways, making those thoughts more automatic over time. This means that if you constantly think in a negative, self-critical way, those pathways become stronger and harder to break. But the opposite is also true. When you intentionally practice new ways of thinking, you begin to weaken the old patterns and build new ones. Over time, your default thinking changes, and with it, your behavior and results. Another real-world case can be seen in cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most widely used and scientifically supported approaches in psychology. Patients struggling with anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem are taught to identify and challenge distorted thoughts such as, "I am not good enough," or "I will always fail." By replacing these thoughts with more balanced and constructive ones, they begin to experience changes not only in their thinking, but in their emotions and actions. This is not theory, it is a method used around the world with measurable results. What all of these examples show is a simple but powerful truth: your thoughts are not just passive ideas, they are active forces that shape your perception, your behavior, and ultimately your life. When you change the way you think about yourself, you change the way you show up in the world. When you change the way you interpret challenges, you change your ability to overcome them. So if you feel stuck, if you feel like nothing is working, understand that the solution is not always external. It is not always about doing more, it is often about thinking differently. Because once your thinking changes, your actions follow, and once your actions change, your results begin to shift. And remember this, every person you admire, every person who has achieved something meaningful, has gone through moments of doubt, failure, and uncertainty. The difference is that they did not allow those moments to define them. They chose to think differently, to interpret their experiences in a way that kept them moving forward. You have that same ability. Your mind is not fixed, your identity is not permanent, and your future is not predetermined. It is shaped day by day, thought by thought, decision by decision. And if you start now, if you begin to take control of your thinking, even in small ways, you will begin to see changes that once felt impossible. Because in the end, nothing is more important than what you think about yourself. Not because it sounds good, but because it determines everything that follows. And when you begin to apply these principles consistently, you will notice that your perception of reality starts to shift in a measurable way. This is closely connected to what psychologists call self-efficacy, a concept developed by Albert Bandura. Self-efficacy refers to your belief in your ability to execute actions required to achieve specific goals. Research has shown that individuals with high self-efficacy are more likely to take on challenges, persist in the face of difficulty, and recover quickly from setbacks. In contrast, those with low self-efficacy tend to avoid challenges, give up more easily, and interpret obstacles as proof of their limitations. The key point is that this belief is not fixed, it can be developed through experience, repetition, and conscious thought. A clear real-life example of this can be seen in the story of J.K. Rowling. Before her success, she faced multiple rejections from publishers, financial struggles, and personal hardship. From an external perspective, everything pointed toward giving up. But what made the difference was not the absence of difficulty, it was her internal belief that her work had value. If she had accepted rejection as a final judgment of her ability, the outcome would have been very different. Instead, she continued, and eventually her work reached a global audience. This illustrates how belief in oneself can sustain action even when external validation is missing. Another psychological mechanism that plays a critical role here is what is known as the self-fulfilling prophecy, a concept introduced by Robert K. Merton. This refers to the idea that expectations can influence behavior in a way that causes those expectations to become reality. If you believe you will fail, you may unconsciously act in ways that increase the likelihood of failure, such as avoiding preparation, hesitating in critical moments, or giving up too soon. On the other hand, if you believe success is possible, you are more likely to take consistent action, persist through difficulty, and recognize opportunities that others overlook. One of the most striking demonstrations of this concept is the Pygmalion effect, studied by Robert Rosenthal. In this research, teachers were told that certain students were expected to perform at a higher level, even though these students were randomly selected. Over time, those students actually performed better, not because of innate ability, but because of the expectations placed upon them. The teachers unknowingly gave them more attention, encouragement, and opportunities, which influenced the students' performance. This shows how belief, both internal and external, can shape outcomes in powerful ways. You can also observe these patterns in high-performance environments such as sports, business, and entrepreneurship. Individuals who consistently succeed are not those who never experience doubt, but those who have trained themselves to act despite it. They understand that emotions are temporary, but decisions create long-term consequences. They do not wait for confidence to appear, they build confidence through action. From a neurological perspective, repeated action combined with belief strengthens neural circuits associated with those behaviors. This is why consistency is more powerful than intensity. A single moment of motivation can create a temporary shift, but repeated aligned action creates lasting change. Over time, your brain begins to associate effort with progress, and progress with reward, reinforcing the behavior further. It is also important to understand the role of attention. What you focus on expands, not in a mystical sense, but in a cognitive sense. Your brain has a filtering system known as the reticular activating system, which prioritizes information based on relevance. When you consistently think about your goals, your brain becomes more sensitive to opportunities, resources, and connections related to those goals. When you focus on problems, your brain becomes more sensitive to obstacles and limitations. This is why two people can be in the same situation and see completely different possibilities. Another real-world example can be seen in individuals who overcome significant adversity. Many people who grow up in difficult environments manage to create successful lives, not because their circumstances were easy, but because they developed a different internal narrative. They refused to define themselves by their environment and instead focused on what they could control. This shift in thinking allowed them to take actions that gradually changed their situation. At this point, you should begin to see a clear pattern. Thoughts influence beliefs, beliefs influence actions, and actions create results. This cycle repeats continuously, reinforcing itself over time. If you want to change the outcome, you must interrupt the cycle at the level of thought. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending challenges do not exist. It means choosing interpretations that empower action rather than limit it. It means understanding that your first thought may be automatic, but your second thought is a choice. And that choice, repeated over time, becomes your new default. So as you move forward, pay attention to your internal dialogue. Notice how you respond to challenges, how you interpret setbacks, how you define yourself in difficult moments. Because these small, often unnoticed thoughts are shaping your direction more than any external factor. And remember, every example you have heard, every study, every real-life story, points to the same conclusion. Change is possible, but it begins internally. Not with one decision, but with many decisions made consistently. Not with one moment of motivation, but with a commitment to think differently, act differently, and persist even when it is difficult. You are not separate from these principles, you are part of them. The same psychological mechanisms that shape others are shaping you right now. The only question is whether you will use them consciously or allow them to operate automatically. Because once you become aware, you can no longer say you do not have control. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you control how you interpret it, how you respond, and how you move forward. And that is enough to change everything. And as you continue to build this awareness, you begin to understand a deeper psychological layer of change, the role of identity. It is not just your thoughts that shape your life, it is who you believe you are. Your identity acts as a filter for your behavior, meaning you will always act in ways that are consistent with how you see yourself. This is why lasting change does not come from forcing actions, but from redefining identity. When your identity shifts, your behavior follows naturally, because you are no longer trying to become something, you are expressing who you already believe you are. This idea is strongly supported by identity-based behavior research, which shows that people are more likely to maintain habits when those habits align with their sense of self. For example, someone who says, "I am trying to be disciplined," will struggle more than someone who says, "I am a disciplined person," because the second statement reflects identity, not effort. The brain seeks consistency, and when your actions match your identity, they require less resistance over time. A powerful real-world example of identity transformation can be seen in the story of David Goggins. He went from being overweight, lacking direction, and struggling mentally, to becoming one of the most disciplined endurance athletes in the world. What changed was not just his routine, but his identity. He no longer saw himself as someone limited by his past, but as someone capable of extreme discipline and resilience. That internal shift drove external action at a level most people cannot sustain. Another important concept is cognitive dissonance, introduced by Leon Festinger. This refers to the mental discomfort you feel when your actions do not match your beliefs or identity. Your brain naturally tries to reduce this discomfort, either by changing your actions or by changing your beliefs. This means that when you begin to adopt a stronger identity, your mind will push you to act in alignment with it. If you say, "I am someone who follows through," but you do not act that way, you will feel tension, and over time, you will either adjust your behavior or lower your identity. The key is to raise your identity and then consistently act to match it. You will also begin to notice how habits are formed and maintained. Research in behavioral psychology shows that habits are built through repetition in stable contexts. At first, every action requires effort and attention, but over time, it becomes automatic. This is why small daily actions matter more than occasional intense effort. When you repeat a behavior consistently, you reduce the need for willpower, because the behavior becomes part of your routine. A practical example of this can be seen in people who build successful businesses or careers. They do not rely on motivation every day, they rely on systems and habits. They show up even when they do not feel like it, not because they are always inspired, but because it is part of who they are. This consistency compounds over time, creating results that appear sudden from the outside, but are actually built through repeated effort. Another key psychological principle is delayed gratification, famously studied in the Stanford marshmallow experiment. Children who were able to delay immediate reward in favor of a larger future reward tended to have better life outcomes later on. This ability to prioritize long-term benefit over short-term comfort is directly connected to self-control and future-oriented thinking. When you train yourself to delay gratification, you strengthen your ability to make decisions that support your long-term goals rather than your immediate emotions. At this stage, you also begin to understand the importance of emotional regulation. It is not about eliminating negative emotions, but about managing them effectively. You will still feel fear, doubt, frustration, but instead of being controlled by these emotions, you will learn to move through them. This is a skill developed through awareness and practice, not something you are born with. You may also notice that your tolerance for discomfort increases. Things that once felt overwhelming will start to feel manageable. This is because you are expanding your capacity, both mentally and emotionally. Growth always requires stepping beyond what feels comfortable, but over time, your definition of comfort expands as well. And as this process continues, you begin to build something that cannot be easily taken away, inner stability. External circumstances will always change, there will always be uncertainty, but when your mindset is strong, you are no longer those changes. You adapt, you adjust, and you continue moving forward. You will also start to see that success is not a single destination, but a continuous process of growth. There is no final point where everything becomes perfect, but there are levels of awareness, discipline, and understanding that continue to evolve. And with each level, your capacity to create, to adapt, and to lead your own life increases. So as you move forward, remember that you are not just working on your goals, you are working on yourself. Every thought you challenge, every habit you build, every action you take, is shaping your identity. And your identity is the foundation of everything else. Because in the end, you do not get what you want, you get what you believe you are. And when that belief changes, everything else begins to change with it. And now, as you reach the end of this message, understand this clearly: nothing you heard today was a coincidence. It came to you at the exact moment you needed it. Because change does not start tomorrow, it does not start next week. It starts the moment you decide to think differently. You do not need perfect conditions, you do not need full clarity, and you do not need to feel ready. You only need one decision: to stop accepting a version of yourself that no longer represents who you want to become. Everything you want begins in your mind. The way you see yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you interpret your life, it all shapes your reality more than any external factor ever could. And right now, you have the power to interrupt old patterns, to replace doubt with direction, fear with action, and hesitation with commitment. This is your moment, not because everything is easy, but because you are aware. And awareness is where transformation begins. Do not underestimate how quickly your life can change when your mindset shifts. The moment you align your thoughts with your goals, your actions begin to follow. And when your actions become consistent, your results will start to appear faster than you expect. This is not about waiting years to see change. This is about making a shift now, so you can begin seeing results in the shortest time possible. Small changes, repeated daily, create powerful outcomes. So take this with you: protect your mind, choose your thoughts carefully, and never forget that you are in control of the direction your life is taking. Even when it feels difficult, even when progress is slow, keep going. Because the version of you that you want to become is already within you, waiting for you to act. And if this message spoke to you, if you felt something shift inside, then do not stop here. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, because this is just the beginning. Your transformation is your responsibility, and it starts now.